we're going to try something new here. There has been a lot of news that hits, and you know how the news cycle is. It's like this. It's instantaneous. And I just don't have the time to cover it all on my site, the-newsbox.com. That's the-newsbox.com. So I figured we'd try something new here. On the weekends, I figured I would pick the best stories from the week and talk about them. You and I will talk about them. Well, actually, I will talk about them and you will sit there and listen to me talk about them. And if you feel like commenting, then you comment. But before than anything else, you should definitely subscribe. Before we even go any further, if you got a comment, then you got to subscribe. In any case, so my idea is to do this on a weekly basis, and we would call it, like a weekly update, but I'm probably going to do it on the weekend because that's the best time. I got a little bit more time on the weekend, so we will call it the Weekend Update. The Red Chair Show's Weekend Update. All right, so let's kick this off. Our inaugural. That's the word I've been trying to think of. Inaugural. I know, I kept saying premiere. I mean, premiere is good, but inaugural. Yeah, I've been trying. I know, right? Anyway, we'll start with something a little controversial, something that's got everybody's collective panties wedged so tightly up their butts. A new Iron Man. Yes, Brian Michael Bendis has introduced, or will be introducing, or has, but will be taking on her own title. Ooh, I did say her. Yes, we are getting a new female Iron Man, Riri Williams. This October will be taking over the armor for Tony Stark in Invincible Iron Man #1. That is in October. Who is Riri Williams? Well, she is a 15-year-old computer whiz that goes to MIT. And what has she been doing? Well, she has been in some sort of secret project collecting bits and pieces from Tony's old armor and kind of putting together and making her own Iron Man armor. I guess it's akin to War Machine or something that's in the vein of War Machine. So she gets in a lot of trouble from MIT. She takes off in the suit. She stops some crimes, gets the attention of Jim Rhodes, the War Machine, and he lets Tony know what's going on with Riri. This is all going on in the pages of the current Invincible Iron Man from, I believe, issue #7 through issue #9. And, I mean, this is cool. A lot of people have a problem with Brian Michael Bendis. Me, not so much. I think it's a clever idea. When characters are replaced, it doesn't bother me so much. And in this case, it doesn't bother me. What does bother me, and bother is probably the wrong word, but I don't know what other word to use, is that this news broke, as best as I know, in the pages, or in this case, the website of Time Magazine. Time Magazine interviewed Brian Michael Bendis about this new Iron Man, Riri Williams. And that bugs the hell out of me. Isn't this the kind of news for, like, comic book sites like CBR, who, by the way, I actually write for now, freelance, or Newsarama, or even to a lesser extent, a site like, I don't know, Entertainment Weekly, Time Magazine? When did Time start getting into comic book news? I don't know. That bothers me. It certainly doesn't bother me that Brian Michael Bendis is interviewed. Good for him. Again, I don't have a problem with him, but just that Time Magazine, I mean, Time, really? I don't know. So, anyway, you can check that interview out at time.com or Time Magazine, whatever that freaking site is. I don't necessarily have a problem with Time either. It's just, I don't know. So, getting back to Riri, she will again take over the Iron Man armor, and how she gets there still remains to be seen. How she becomes Iron Man's successor, Tony Stark's successor, hasn't quite been revealed yet, but she's going to have a big role in the upcoming Marvel Now. Invincible Iron Man #1, the new one, will hit stores in October of 2017. This next story I find very puzzling. The running time for Suicide Squad apparently is a big deal on the internet. I don't get it. Why? A few weeks ago, rumors were swirling that the running time for the movie was 100 minutes. Okay. Big deal. Well, apparently it's a big deal. Everybody's got, again, their collective panties up their butts. And it turns out that Collider revealed, courtesy of the director of Suicide Squad, David Ayer, that the movie is actually 2 hours and 10 minutes long. Thank God it's not 100 minutes. Why is this important? I mean, I don't get it. It's sort of in line with all the other Zack Snyder movies, Man of Steel and Batman vs. Superman. Those came in like 2 hours and 30 minutes. Personally, I think 2 hours and 10 minutes for Suicide Squad is a tad long. Now, granted, 100 minutes isn't long enough, but if that's what they need, if that's all the time that they need to make that movie, then so the fuck what? Why does it matter? I think 2 hours and 10 minutes is a long movie. And I am excited about this movie. Many people aren't, but I'm excited to see it. I think without seeing the movie, it just seems like 2 hours and 10 minutes is a long time to be sitting at this movie. 2 hours, maybe shave off 15. Who knows? Until we see it, it'll be hard to judge. But what is the big deal? Well, somebody tell me. Anyway, this is a cool story. The Enterprise. Since 1974, Paramount donated the original model of the Enterprise from the original series to the Smithsonian. It has been hanging in the basement gift shop in the Smithsonian, the Air and Space gift shop, since 1974. Apparently, it's been decomposing while it's been hanging there. The paint's chipping. It's just a mess. So in 2014, restorators, scienticians, people that restorate things have been restoring the original model of the Enterprise, which is I think it's very, very cool, and it deserves the respect that it's now getting. 50 years old, this model is, because the show is 50 years old now. And what they did is they took the model apart. It's wild. They spent all these years, since 2014, updating this model. They used science bitches to pinpoint the exact color of the original model and repaint it that color. They use science, the magic of science, to recreate that color or to identify the exact color, and they painted the ship that way. They also got rid of the incandescent lighting, which would probably burn the goddamn ship down as it is, put it in LCDs or LEDs, not LCDs. And they have restored it beyond its former glory, and it's no longer in the basement of the gift shop of the Smithsonian. It is now in the atrium of the Boeing Milestones of Flight Hall at the Smithsonian's National Air and Space Museum. I think that's awesome. Finally, we will wrap this thing up where we started, back at Marvel. Yes, it's only 4 stories, but this is my pilot episode, the pilot episode of Weekend Update. So 4 stories is what it is. And as it is, I've been rambling for a good long time. So, 4th and final story, Thor is apparently back. He's getting a new book. Everybody's getting new books. Thor Odinson is getting his own book. It's called Unworthy Thor in October, along with Riri taking over the armor over in Invincible Iron Man. Right now, over in Mighty Thor, Jane Foster is now the Thor. She's wielding Mjolnir, and Thor has not. Thor Odinson has not. And so now Marvel released this information along with the cover to the new book, and Thor is seen reaching for Mjolnir. Only it is the Ultimate Universe's Mjolnir, which is kind of weird, isn't it? I mean, the Ultimate Universe's Thor had Mjolnir, and here now Thor Odinson is going to see if he's worthy enough to wield the Ultimate Comics Mjolnir. It's cool. I am definitely down for this book. But what puzzles me, and I do not believe this has been addressed yet, is why the fuck is he still unworthy? What exactly did Nick Fury whisper in Thor Odinson's ear way back in Original Sin to make him unworthy? When are we going to find this out? Hopefully, this will all be addressed in the pages of Unworthy Thor in October. And that, my friends, has been your Weekend Update.